trends are getting worse. I'm not just talking about TikTok dances or Crocs with socks making a comeback. Oh no, I'm talking about car trends. See, car manufacturers always try to improve their cars by fitting new features or changing the design. It doesn't always work though. Sometimes it has the opposite effect. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through the very worst new car trends. It's going to drive you mad. Buy, sell,
Carwow.
Let's start off this video with what I think is one of the worst modern car trends, and it's soft limiters. Now, I don't mind soft limiters being fitted to normal cars, but to performance cars, what's all that about? You know, I understand the reasoning behind a soft limiter, so it's to meet noise regulations, it helps reduce emissions, you don't want someone just sat there just revving their engine pointlessly. But really, if you've got a high-performance sports car like an Audi R8, you want to be able to let your mates hear it revving up, because let's face it, pretty soon there will not be any internal combustion engine cars for us to enjoy. Let's have one last hurrah, hey? I mean, this is what the Audi R8 sounds like. So many Audis have soft limiters and lots of other manufacturers. Porsche, for instance, has a soft limiter on the 911 Turbo S. This is what a 911 Turbo S sounds like when you're stationary revving it. Thankfully, some manufacturers aren't fitting soft limiters. Good old BMW is one of them. For instance, have a listen to this BMW M5 CS being revved while stationary all the way to its red line. Just makes it even more sad, actually. My next annoying trend is cars being fitted with lane keeping assist and warning. Now, they're not such a problem in themselves. In fact, they have saved me a few times from like weaving about on the motorway and all that kind of thing. Where they're not so good though is when you're driving down a twisty country road. They just don't seem that well calibrated. Sometimes you need to like weave over the line because there's a pothole, or the road's really narrow, or there's something sticking out of the verge, or you're trying to dodge a pheasant and then it's beeping at you, or the steering wheel's tugging in the other way trying to steer you into the thing you're trying to miss. It can drive you a bit crazy. I've got a Toyota GR Yaris. It says you can turn off the lane departure warning. When you do select that option, it still bloody warns you. Drives me crazy. In a Toyota GR Yaris, which is designed for being thrashed down narrow country roads, it drives me crazy. The next new annoying car trend are fake grills on electric cars. Now, I can sort of forgive the electric cars that are also internal combustion engine cars. Take, for instance, the BMW i4, which shares its body with the BMW 4 Series. So they have to put something where the grille would be for the internal combustion engine car, which needs cooling. But what about cars which are bespoke, built from the ground up electric vehicles, such as the Audi Q4? Why does it have to have such a huge, stupid grille? The BMW iX, built from the ground up electric car, does it need all that cooling? No. Why does it have that big stupid grille, especially that beaver tooth grille? Now, I understand about brand identity, but surely there's a better way that they can actually make this work rather than just fitting big silly grills. For instance, the new Tesla Model S, no grille, looks really sharp from the front end. Porsche Taycan, beautiful looking car, no grille. Even the normal VW ID3 doesn't have a big silly grille, and that's quite a good looking little electric car. It's not odd. Another thing that annoys me are pop-out door handles. Now, I get why manufacturers fit them. They look cool. You know, you've got flush bodywork and then you go to get in, the handle pops out, you open it, brilliant. However, it's not so brilliant the way some of these systems work. It's just a faff. And there's other ones that aren't actually motorised, which you just have to stick your thumb in, like on the Kia EV6. And the way you actually hold them is odd. It's just harder to open the door. You sort of hold them like you're doing some kind of limp handshake rather than just grabbing a handle. Another thing that annoys me personally is EVs with the charging port right slap bang in the middle of their grille. Now, in some ways it's good because you can just nose straight into a parking space, and because you're never sure which side the charger's going to be on, you can always get the cable to it because it's not that far away because it's in the middle of the car. The thing I find annoying though is the fact that it forces me to go nose into a space. I always like to reverse into a space because it's just safer when you're pulling out again, because you can see clearer if there's any other cars coming across the front of you. Another issue of having the charging port at the very front of the car is that if you have a front end collision, which is most likely, you'll damage that port, so you won't be able to charge your car. So while you're waiting for it to be fixed, you won't actually be able to use it. Another way car manufacturers have tried to improve their vehicles but actually made them worse is by fitting them with touch sensitive buttons. In particular, touch sensitive buttons on the steering wheel, which not only operate by just being brushed, but you also sometimes can operate them by pressing them. An example is in the Range Rover Velar and the latest VW products. They're so hard to use, you just don't know how to skip through the menus. It's just easier to have a button that you press in to make it operate, rather than being able to slide it or press it in. It's confusing. Electric cars which don't have front boots. What is that all about? Now, I know that certain electric cars are actually based on internal combustion engine models, and I can understand why they don't have a front boot, because yes, those cars used to have a big internal combustion engine under the bonnet, so it takes quite a lot of re-engineering to build in a recessed area for storing stuff. However, any built from the ground up electric car will have enough space underneath its bonnet for some storage. But some manufacturers don't even bother. For instance, Volkswagen with the ID.3. Another one is BMW with the iX. Huge car. You think it'd have loads of space under its bonnet, but you can't even open the bonnet. Tesla do this so well. So a big boot in the back and a useful little storage area in the front. Even when you've got a dual motor car with an electric motor in the front as well, they manage to find enough space for you to store your charging cables underneath the bonnet. Another annoying car trend are manufacturers overcomplicating things and electrifying things that don't need to be electrified. For instance, while it makes perfect sense for the boot on an SUV to be electrically operated, because obviously it's a big heavy tailgate that you don't have to lift up and it's quite high up, you just want to be able to press a button. Why have that feature on a saloon car? You have to press the button, then you've got to wait for the motor to operate, and you can press the button, wait for it to slowly shut as well, when it's so much easier to just go lift it up, put your stuff in and slam it shut. Pointless. And what about Tesla with its glove box? There's no button to open the glove box, so you have to do it through the menu screen or by using a voice command. Plug-in hybrids. They're another annoying car trend. You see, as far as I'm concerned, they're the worst of all worlds. They're not very good at being electric cars, and they're not very good at being internal combustion engine cars. Reason being is that when you're driving around using the battery power alone, you're having to lug about an internal combustion engine with you. And often the batteries are so small because of packaging that they can't go that far on electric power alone. Then you're driving around an internal combustion engine car with a battery on board and an electric motor. Once again, not being used. For example, Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid. So that's a 1.6 litre petrol engine and an electric motor. And Kia says that car should be able to do 177 miles per gallon. But you'll soon eat through your battery charge if you go a decent distance in it, and you'll end up running mainly on the internal combustion engine. And when I drove the Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid, I averaged 37 miles per gallon. Not particularly good. Finally then, we come to the 10th annoying new car trend, and it is manufacturers increasingly fitting digital door mirrors to cars. So instead of a normal door mirror, you have a camera displaying a feed on a little screen below the camera, usually in the door panel. Now, I can understand why manufacturers do this. They improve the aerodynamics of the car, which means that you'll have less wind noise and you'll have slightly better economy. But there are 5 actual practical issues with this setup. The first is you have to retrain your brain of where to look. Everyone's used to looking there for a mirror, but now you have to look somewhere else for wherever the screen is. It's not good. Another thing that's not good is that when you're actually looking in the mirror, your peripheral vision picks up cars out of the window which are by your side. You won't be able to do that if you're looking elsewhere, such as lower down or towards the front of the car, wherever the screen may be. Another problem is that you don't get depth perception in the camera feed like you do when you look in a mirror, so you can't be so sure at how far away the car is that you're looking at. Another problem isn't just for you, the driver, but for other road users, most notably cyclists and motorcyclists. Often they use door mirrors to see if there's someone actually in the driver's seat, or if that driver is about to get out of their car. I'm a cyclist, I do that a lot, and it saved my skin a few times while riding through London. If there's a camera there, I can't do that anymore. So I might end up cycling too close to a car that's about to open its door, and yeah, that's not going to be good, is it? Another problem is what happens when someone knocks off your door mirror camera. It's going to be cheaper to replace a mirror than it is a camera, surely. Finally, there's the issue of aesthetics. In some ways, they don't look that good. Car door mirrors can actually look really cool and actually add to the aesthetic of the vehicle, especially on performance cars. Now, they're almost like insects' antennae. They just somehow look cool. Whereas cars without door mirrors look a bit like people without ears. Yeah, exactly.